Destination Newry. I'm Rowan, and this is Joanne Callan. How are you?
Thanks.
Weren't those gorgeous images there in the Lighthouse family?
Very,
Yeah.
very inspiring.
They're the joie de vivre of summertime.
Yeah,
All those see the boats in the shimmering in the
You
horizons.
can see it on its way in the summertime. I mean,
gorgeous.
the, warm,
blue
the
sky
mornings,
and
blue skies.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever done windsurfing?
Once in Greece,
Yeah.
I did some
You need to
windsurfing.
persevere. We did it's 30 years ago I founded the Carlingford Loch Windsurfing Centre with John Donnelly, who's now dead. And we started from scratch and learned to windsurf over a winter. It was cold, it was wet, it was
Well, yeah, I had a very easy introduction.
Yeah.
Mine was in the off a Greek island, so yeah,
Wow.
I'm fairly
Off a Greek
sheltered
island.
and quite
You know,
warm.
I think it's very dangerous for you to go anywhere near a Greek island. And you know why?
Why so?
Because, you know, the gods, they sit there and they look down from the few clouds that are going past like galleons in the sky, in the blue sky. And they'd look down and they'd see, oh, look, one god will say to the other, that's that gal, Callan. Oh, let's capture her and take her for a princess, a goddess. And then you're gone, you know.
It's a number of years ago now, so I made my way there and back.
You
quite,
did well.
I
It's
got
all
back.
good. What sort of week has it been for you?
Very
Joanne,
good.
of course, does our Destination Wellbeing every Thursday, this day, on the programme at 3 o'clock
3 p.m.
on the
today.
station. And it's been a busy week for you.
Yes, busy week,
Yeah.
and on the show today we've all things positive, laughter, vision boards, and
What's a
such
vision
like.
board? I know about
Vision
water boards,
Yeah.
and it's a technique where you are brought close to drowning, of course.
Yeah.
The Americans were very good at it.
Okay,
They
yeah.
tried to let on, they didn't. But
Didn't,
they did.
but
They're rascals.
they
know.
they mastered that
They
skill.
did. They did. So what's the other sort of board? Then?
Vision board
boards.
is a tool that's used by a lot of life coaches, and there's a lot of talk about them, I suppose, in recent few years following the release of a book called The Secret. But really they're a tool for anybody to engage in positivity and to look at creating images, because obviously our brain thinks in images. It doesn't necessarily always think in words. A lot of the time it focuses in on images. And the idea behind a vision board is to have a selection of images or words that you maybe would like to captivate or cultivate in your life, or attract into your life. And then so working on your vision board can help you to get a clear picture of the direction that you're going and what's key, what's important to you. Because often we find that people, you know, plan holidays more than they plan their lives, and they sit back and
You see, that's where I've got it. That's where I've got it cracked. I don't do holidays, but I do life.
Yeah.
I make my life a holiday.
And that's, you know, if we engage, sometimes we find that one of the reasons people maybe feel out of control in life is because they're sort of sitting back and letting life happen to them, rather than going out maybe and meeting it and having a clear vision of what it is that's important to them. And that'll be unique and different for everybody.
Yeah, but life, very, very often for folk, is difficult to get a handle on. I think of Peaches Geldorf, I think of Bob.
Yeah.
How is that man going to come through that? He will come through it for the children and for the grandchildren.
Yeah, but
He'll do that, but it's...
that's very devastating. And, you know, the same situation being played out many times across the world.
Oh, yeah.
You know, obviously whenever it happens in celebrity world,
you hear about it.
we hear about it and it gets out there. But that's only representative of what's happening for a lot of people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And people are getting through situations equally as hard.
But I have to say, Bob he was very, very uncelebrity-like in his responses. You know, he said, "This is destroying me." You know, I talk about what she was, and the use of the word "was" is the most terrible thing to use about my beautiful Peaches. You know.
Yes. Yeah, he spoke very much as a father, and
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. They're now the report from the post-mortem is not yet with us. That is going to take a little time, because they've gone off for toxicology analysis, which would begin to lead you in a certain direction if you think about that.
Well, that's it. But I suppose that nobody knows, and again, even, you know, whatever the outcome, nobody. We still don't know what's going on in anybody's head.
Well, someone mentioned post-traumatic or post-natal depression and things like that. The wee baby's one of the babies is only a year old or something.
It can be, and interestingly that I think you were going to mention their post-traumatic stress disorder, but there's a lot of work being done at the minute to actually to investigate or to look at whether postnatal depression is fully postnatal depression, or if there is an element of post-traumatic stress disorder there as well. And if that, I suppose, is identified, then how it's treated will be it will be treated very differently. But it's very sad all round.
Absolutely, it is.
And very sad for the, as I said, for the number of people
who
are going through similar situations.
We have
Everybody's
them all
is
around
different.
us in Newry, you know, constantly there.
Yeah.
And you know, young women, young mothers lose babies, and then they have to come to terms
with that. Yes, and with that, just I mean, a few weeks ago, I had the Molly and Maya Foundation on Destination Wellbeing. So if anybody is going through that or has experienced that recently, the Molly and Maya Foundation, and there's other organisations out there, but there's a lovely interview with Diana McDowell from the Molly and Maya Foundation, who chats to me just about that experience.
Yeah. What does Molly and Maya do? Remind me.
They support women. Diana herself lost twin girls at quite late in pregnancy, I think maybe about 32 weeks, and as a result set up a foundation to support women in her local area, and it has grown out now, and they have a beautiful centre in Benburb that really is at the heart of the community, whether that's to do, you know, and very much I think what they've done is they've taken away some of the stigma. Sometimes organisations that maybe deal with difficult issues tend to be separate from the rest of what's going on in the community, but the Molly and Maya Foundation is very much at the heart of the community to help open up conversations that can be very difficult.
Talking is good in all situations.
Talking's good, and awareness is good as well, and just allowing people to feel that it's okay to not feel okay.
Yeah, and you see, we perhaps have a tendency to go on the cavalry charge of life, beating everything and throwing it out of the way and charging through it, not to let the anxiety grab us. But the other way is to cut back on the foot off the throttle a little bit, take it easy, and to understand what's happening.
Feeling emotions. Yeah. When we feel our emotions, it really, you know, with the support, and there's so many. I've been blessed in the last number of years to meet some really wonderful therapists in lots of different, whether that's from a healing modality through to what would be counselling, right through the whole range, where rather than bury the emotion, we have the opportunity and a safe space to express the emotion and to allow it out, and in that to release the emotion, because whilst we're charging forward, and as you said, we're going full throttle ahead, we're only burying what's there, and it will come back at some point in time in life to either, whether that's as a physical illness maybe that can manifest, or as an emotional.
Yeah, I find it even in my own work. Here even, I find it in my writing that I need to do it, I need to get it, and instead of chilling and realizing I've been doing it for 50 years and it's no big issue, it's not brain surgery. Yeah. And if you slip up, it's not the end of the world. Yeah. So you create a whole new cocoon of contentment for yourself if you do that.
I think one of the things we often, being critical of ourselves leads us to be, you know, being critical of others actually as a result of being very critical of ourselves. And the harder we are on ourselves, the more likely we are to be hard on others as well.
But I think that's important. I think there's a balance there, because chilling, yes, but you know, you don't make omelettes without breaking eggs. No. If you're in search of excellence, you have got to drive the machine that takes you towards that excellence. Yeah. And
we've got to strive in a certain pathway, but I think a lot of the time, so many of us are so hard on ourselves. And right from, you know, when I talk to young people of a variety of ages, their awareness of sort of self-love and self-acceptance, and their awareness of themselves and how they are within themselves is, you know, is increasingly becoming a very difficult concept for them to grasp. And that does make life much more difficult.
Well, you're dipping in and out of schools with your work, your Relax Kids thing.
Yes.
Are schools beginning to take this sort of thing on board?
I think, yes, definitely. My
I know they have
experience is,
counsellors in schools
yeah,
and
but
pastoral teachers and stuff.
just this week I had a conversation with a teacher, and a young teacher, which was excellent, because it's great to see that the awareness is there. And he was speaking of suicide awareness within schools and things like that, but he was very much coming from the other angle, in that he was saying, you know, if we're talking about suicide, there's the possibility that, and not always, because the conversation has to be had, but that the focus is on suicide, and is on the other side of the coin. If we're talking about mental health issues, then the focus is usually on poor mental health. But if we're talking about relaxation, positive well-being, building resilience, building tools within the individual, then it's a much more open and empowering angle to come from, because often you find when you're talking to young people, if whatever message you're giving them, if it's not relevant to them on that day, they'll shut down from it.
Yeah.
So if we're talking to young people about mental health, if they're feeling perfectly fine, they've no association with what poor mental health is. But if we're talking to them about feeling good and feeling positive, and ways of ensuring that they stay that way, then I think we have a much more powerful way of giving them those tools and keeping them engaged in the conversations that we're having.
I remember when I was lecturing in the Southern Regional College, which was the Newry Institute in those days, I employed the device in my creative writing classes. I had everyone lying down on the floor of the classroom, like the petals of a flower, with the feet going into the middle. And we took half an hour of chilling and meditation in that position. And quite a few of us went to sleep on the floor. But when we got back up again, it was refreshing, and our creativity level started to rise a bit. Do you realise that we haven't even yet talked about your programme today?
Well, we've chatted a little bit. We've talked about my vision boards that are coming up on it. Vision boards, positivity, laughter, and positive emotional well-being, and a few key days coming up now in both May and June, and we'll be chatting about those around World Laughter Day and Northern Ireland Laughter Day.
What's World Laughter Day?
Well, I suppose talking about exactly what we're talking about, the vision of...
When is it?
It is
You don't know?
No, I do. It's the 4th of May. The 4th of May. So Sunday the 4th of May is World Laughter Day, and the vision of the World Laughter Institute, I suppose, founded by Dr. Madame Katari, was world peace through laughter.
Yeah.
That if we're all happy within ourselves, so it's a day really just to cultivate fun and laughter.
The Radio 4 last night at the end of PM, there was a little clip that a lady had recorded the sound of her baby laughing and chuckling.
Yes.
And they let it run for a minute, and it was quite amazingly uninhibited. Well, you'd expect it to be uninhibited with a baby, but that baby was enjoying itself.
Yes, and you know, a baby's laugh is so infectious.
Yeah.
But as well as that, we all remember. I often remember the Comfort ad a number of years ago, where the little giggle of the baby at the end of it. And, it's one of those sounds that we all can relate to, isn't it? And all enjoy.
You and I have a shared experience next week, because Richard Moore is coming down.
Richard Moore is coming to Newry next week.
Tell the people who Richard Moore is.
Richard Moore was, or is, a young, well, he's now a man, but as a young boy, he was blinded in Derry in the 70s, I believe, and he's went on to find Children in Crossfire, a fantastic worldwide organisation that's doing great work. But myself and Deborah Loughran from the Newry Chamber of Commerce, and Gemma Murphy and a few others have got together to found a Newry support group.
Hey, well done.
For Children in Crossfire.
You've kept that quiet. Well done, girl.
So we're hoping to raise some awareness locally for Children in Crossfire. And as Richard will be coming down next week to chat about some of the events that we're holding this year. So on the 7th of May, we've a fantastic event coming up in the Canal Court, music, entertainment, an evening with Richard Moore.
Wow.
And hopefully Ryan Cinnamon will be joining us for that as well.
Yeah.
And then later on in October, we're organising a fire walk in the Canal Court.
How does that work? The fire walk.
Fire walk, Ron. We have to. Do we have you as a volunteer for a fire walk?
I want to find out about it first of all. Okay. How does this thing work? The fire walk. Now it seems to me beyond belief that I can walk 20, how many meters? 10 meters?
Maybe, yeah, it's probably about 10 meters.
10
I'd say,
meters.
yeah.
In my bare feet, across a bed of hot coals.
Yeah. Well, I've done it, so
No,
I can assure you, and I've lived to tell the tale
Was it
without any
sore?
blisters.
There's-
Absolutely not, no.
You can walk over fire
Well,
without it being sore.
Yeah, they're hot coals more than they're not flaming, obviously, because you don't want to catch the bottom of your trousers or anything like that. But Richard himself done it. The year I did it, Richard did it as well, which obviously is an even bigger feat than, excuse the pun on that one, but
I think would it qualify if I didn't walk in the Canal Court Hotel on the coals, but selected to walk on the canal on the water? Because if I sunk, it wouldn't be sore. It would be all right.
I promise it's not sore. It's a great experience actually, and a really great experience for young people, I think, to do as well.
But I mean, what's the logic of it? How does it work? What's the trickery?
Well,
to use a wrong word.
Yes, it's getting your mind set
So
right.
your mind, but you're still seeing these things red.
Yeah, they're red and they're hot, and your feet become a wee bit black and stuff. But
I don't mind the black. It's the blister I worry
no,
about.
honestly, no. But I mean, there was the night that I did it. I think there was 29 or 30 of us or something, and there was not a blister in sight. Everybody was fine. So we can
believe.
I'll sign you up. Yeah, I'll sign you up for October rowing. Yes, that's it.
Well, it's getting cold that time of year.
Yeah, so
But do
it'll
me
be
no
easier.
harm.
Do you no harm, no, you'll be fine.
Well, Richard's coming on my program as well, because on the days coming here, you're interviewing him, I'm interviewing him from a slightly different perspective, because when I was a reporter with the Irish Independent up in Derry in the days of the worst of the Troubles, around about the time of Operation Motorman, I saw all the things that occurred there, the riots and the firing of the rubber bullets, and the young fellas, maybe Richard among them, had the skill to jump up, like they played hurling and the rubber bullet, and they could jump up and catch the rubber bullet. And sure, rubber bullets were in sale all across Derry to journalists and others who came in from all over the world as souvenirs. And that was one of those bullets that hit Richard in the eye and blinded him.
He did indeed, but yes, and a remarkable man, and has been drawn to do a lot of work with the Dalai Lama, and he would count the Dalai Lama among one of his closest friends, and the Dalai Lama is one of the ambassadors for Children in Crossfire as well. So, fantastic man, and really, he's doing some fabulous work, and I suppose it's from that we look at just how the human spirit can grow out of adversity as well.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it goes the other way.
It does,
It's a flick of the
but
coin.
it can go one way or the other. But we'll be hopefully embracing the positive element of that as over the next.
Well, we look at that, and today's program, who's the person on board?
Michelle Major is on today.
Michelle Major. She's from, I had her on my program once.
Yes, the
Wasn't she?
laughter. Michelle does
She's
laughter.
the laughter person.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Yes, she was so very funny.
Yes.
It was great.
So
That was the only time I laughed in 50 years when I was on her program.
I think the thing as well is that, that's the thing about laughter yoga when we're talking about adversity, is that a lot of the time it's used when people don't really have very much to laugh about, but it's about cultivating the benefits, the positive benefits that laughter can bring to your
But if
life.
you laugh, there's another name for that. If you laugh when you've nothing to laugh about, the other name is madness.
Well, that's it too. But usually, whenever we start laughing for no reason, then it falls into proper laughter, and it really is good fun and a great workout. I've any laughter.
Right. We look forward to this at 3 o'clock today on Destination
we'll
Newry.
be chatting. Yes.
Well, there was a lot of laughter up in a Tyrone chapel recently at a wedding.
Oh, it was.
Because you can imagine you're there with your husband, you've been married, and she's there. He's there with his wife, and suddenly there's the loveliness of the lovely music of the wedding, and then that dies, and the priest just says nothing, and he comes around to the microphone and he starts singing Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. Can you believe that? It's amazing. We've got the YouTube.
Excellent,
Do you want to see it?
It's great. Yes,
Dee
indeed.
will do that
I've
for us
seen
now.
it.
Dee.